Hello and welcome to Shoot the Hostage. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Dan.
We're a movie show that delves into a different film each week based around a theme. This season, the theme is cops. Like all good podcasts, this show contains explicit language and mature content, as well as major spoilers for the movie that we're covering. Okay, so, End of Watch. That's what we're here to talk about today.
That is what we're talking about today. End of Watch, directed by David Ayer.
Yep.
Came out in 2012.
Did he write it as well?
He wrote it.
Okay.
He wrote the script. He directed the movie.
Sang the theme tune.
I think he did the catering as well. Yeah, props, all over the props. He's got not the greatest track record of movies, which we were just discussing before we pressed record. Do we want to talk a little bit about that first?
Let's talk about that,
or do we want to get straight into End of Watch?
No, I want to talk about David Ayer and his many sins.
The man, the myth.
Cinema sins.
Sinzimar.
Something, yeah.
That works. We'll keep that.
Sure.
So I suppose he probably broke onto the scene having written Training Day.
Right. I've seen Training Day, but I didn't know he'd written it. I don't think I knew who David Ayer was until Suicide Squad, which is not the best introduction to his work.
No, I was aware that he'd written Training Day at the time, obviously directed by Anton Fuqua.
Sure. I feel like you just swore at me in a different language, but okay.
Fuqua is quite similar to the word I would say in English.
Sure.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. No.
I said it. Was that our first swear of the episode?
Well, first of many.
Oh, strap yourself in. It's going to get exciting.
We're on the same page, at least. You knew what I meant.
So, Training Day, he wrote Fast and the Furious, apparently.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until I was researching for this.
Yeah, so sorry, let me rephrase. He wrote Point Break.
But with cars.
After having watched Point Break.
Which is odd, because the person who wrote Point Break twice.
Everyone just writes Point Break. I feel like if you're a writer in Hollywood, you've got to write Point Break at some point.
At least once in your illustrious career.
It's in that book, Save the Cat. They're like, right, before you attempt anything, just write Point Break.
Step 1.
Save a Patrick Swayze.
Yep.
So, David Ayer, most notable for his writing earlier on in his career.
Yep.
Training Day, absolute classic. Love it.
I need to revisit Training Day. I've only seen it once.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's an ultimate rewatch value for me. Really good movie. Really enjoyed it at the time. Watch it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I was aware of the writer of that. I think he wrote and directed a movie called Harsh Times with Christian Bale.
Yeah, which I haven't seen.
Okay.
Again, I feel like that we're 4 shows in and you've had the upper hand in every single one. You're the cop guy, apparently.
I'm the policeman, if you will.
Yeah.
I like action movies. Like the action genre is one of probably my favourite genre. Yeah. But so naturally, I'm probably more versed in those types of movies.
I can't wait until we do an all horror season, so I can school you for a change.
Okay. Yeah, no, you can certainly do that.
But Harsh Times, I haven't seen that, so describe it to me.
It's describe it to you. Christian Bale really wants to be in the police force.
Yep.
But he just can't stop doing cocaine. He loves cocaine.
Then he should be a hairdresser.
Do hairdressers do a lot of cocaine?
My friend did when he was.
What's his name and his address? He's a bit, if you can believe it, Christian Bale is a bit unhinged in that movie.
No.
He's a bit of a psychopath. He wants to join the police force. I won't spoil it, the plot of that movie, but it's just about him. I think it might even be set over the course of one day.
Okay.
For a very short period of time at least. And he's just going a bit nuts, I guess. He got bits of falling down, bits of Training Day.
I like Falling Down.
I really liked it a lot when I first saw it and bought it.
Mm-hmm.
Watched it since. It's okay. It has its problems, but it's okay. Christian Bale being a complete psychopath is
always
entertaining.
Fun. Yeah. Did he go full method for this one?
Doing cocaine?
Yeah,
Offset,
I assume so.
I would assume maybe yes.
Allegedly.
Satire.
Got to be careful.
Parody.
Don't sue us.
Don't sue us. So Harsh Times, and then you get into shit like Street Kings, which I was really looking forward to.
Again,
but
haven't seen it.
Not very good. It's got Keanu Reeves and House in it. House plays I think he's the police captain for some reason.
Okay.
So you've got Hugh Laurie in it. Sabotage, which was awful.
Sabotage. Do I know that one?
Arnie.
Oh no, I don't.
Who's that guy that they tried to make happen for a while? Worthington.
Oh no.
Tim Worthington's in it.
Tim?
Yeah.
Do you mean Sam?
The Avatar guy. Oh,
Sam Worthington.
I knew it was a 3-letter word. Tim,
Sam,
Tom, Dan. Bright is another one.
Oh no.
Which was pretty
awful.
bad. Yeah, written by Max Landis, that one I think, wasn't it?
Oh no. Is Max Landis is
a bellend.
Yeah. I was searching for the correct
bellend.
I was searching for the correct word and you beat me to it.
I believe so.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Fury, which is really good.
I'm so ashamed to say I haven't seen that because I've heard really good things.
Yes. It's not a realistic war movie.
Okay.
But it's interesting because we were talking about Michael Bay on the last episode and the tone deafness of taking on Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
But it works in this movie because it's quite stylized, it's quite unrealistic. However, you're telling a kind of true, I don't know how true it is, but a true-ish story.
Okay.
Set in a tank. And it's just about the tension between a lot of them in the tank and some really good action sequences in it.
Is this the one that Shia LaBeouf pulled out a tooth for?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he found the process so stressful. He described it as it was like pulling teeth. But he took it a bit too literally and actually yanked his teeth out. And I think he just was trying to get into character, right? Because
because he's insane.
If you're allegedly in a tank movie, you have to remove a tooth and not shower for 3 months.
And offend all of your co-stars' senses.
Yeah.
For the entire duration.
Yeah, let's not get into Shia LaBeouf. And that's about it. He did another one with Shia LaBeouf, actually, called The Tax Collector, which I've heard terrible things about.
Same, yeah. I've never seen it, but I have heard it's not so great.
Maybe we'll cover it one day.
Okay.
Just for a laugh.
Is it about an actual tax collector?
I believe it's a sequel to The Accountant.
I knew you were going to say that.
Ben Affleck screwed up the accounts.
I was trying to figure out a theme we could pigeonhole it into.
Ben Affleck.
Numbers.
He screwed up the tax return and then Shia LaBeouf has got to come and collect the tax that he didn't allow for.
This is a very strange cinematic universe you've just created.
So that's about it, isn't it, for David Ayer? And
we haven't even talked about Suicide Squad though. I mentioned it, but we haven't talked about it.
The picture's right there in front of me.
Yeah.
And it's like I couldn't see it. It's like my brain's just pretending that movie doesn't
What's the opposite
anymore.
of tunnel vision? You've got blinkers for Suicide Squad.
Sky vision? I don't know. Yeah. Suicide Squad 2016, which obviously is not
garbage.
A very good movie. I'm gonna be the first to say that it's not great.
It's a dumpster fire of a film.
Yeah, I don't care what you say. It's not good. And I know it's controversial.
Is it?
That's
the least controversial thing you've said.
I think everyone loves the Suicide Squad 2016. Everyone loves Jared Leto's take on the Joker.
Oof.
They just love that he's got damage tattooed on him, and like all of the Harley Quinn stuff is just brilliant, isn't it, in that movie? And the villains are eyeball monsters. Yeah, something like that.
I can't even be bothered to correct you. That's how little of a shit I give about Suicide Squad.
There's only one Suicide Squad movie now, but you know how the Snyder Cut kind of got made. Mm-hmm. Apparently, David Ayer has been harping on about an Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, which nobody needs to see.
Get fucked, Ayer.
Especially as we've now got the only version of Suicide Squad, which is the James Gunn one.
Yeah.
Which was brilliant.
The one that we deserve.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. It's the one that we got. I don't know if we deserved it.
It was genuinely a fun time.
Yeah.
And did so much to highlight everything that was lacking in Ayer's version.
Absolutely. The Ayer cut is never happening.
Although bloody hope not.
I said that about the Snyder cut. I never thought that would happen. But I think that really only happened because of the pandemic.
Do you think?
Yeah, it was. I think so. I think HBO Max was launching and they were like, what have we got? We can spend like 70 million and get a prestige movie that's going to get a load of subscribers. And they ended up spending like 100 million or something on reshoots.
Wow.
But it worked.
It was better.
It's way better. Yeah, it was way better.
And it, dare I say, felt like a kind of breezy 4 hours.
Yeah, it did.
It didn't feel like a slog.
4 hours, and it's the aspect ratio, the 4:3 aspect ratio, can be a bit bothersome sometimes, but once you get into it, you don't notice it. Mm-hmm. So I had to get over that. I had to get over the length of it, and your Icelandic folk music, the 4-minute long sing-song bit that the singing about Aquaman is here or whatever they're singing.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. But a lot of it worked. I thought it was a vast improvement. But then again, you're trying to improve on Justice League 2017, the Joss Whedon one. I think your cat could have vomited on a carpet and I would have found that more entertaining than that movie. So, do we want to get into End of Watch then? Because that's what we're here to talk about.
It is. Do you want a synopsis?
Yeah, blast me with a synopsis.
I'm going to give you the synopsis off the back of the Blu-ray case because this was a first-time watch for me. Mm. And the only knowledge I had... So, do you remember me saying... Did I call it the 9/11 movie at one point? I think I may have done when we first started talking about covering it. And I was pretty convinced that I'd mixed it up with a different film. And it wasn't until doing my research this week that I definitely thought this was World Trade Center.
Is Michael Peña in that?
Yes.
Right, okay.
And Maggie Gyllenhaal is in it. So
right, okay, so it's got a Gyllenhaal in it. I can see how you got there. This is not the 9/11
It's
movie.
not the 9/11 movie, no. But yes, first time watch for me. I knew very little about it other than the cast and the synopsis that I read online, which was so wildly misleading that it really affected my viewing. Yeah. And we'll get to that later.
Okay.
So I'm going to do the superior synopsis off the back of the Blu-ray case that I wish I'd read first.
Hit me.
LAPD police officers Brian Taylor and Mike Zavala are bonded by friendship and a crusade to clean up the violent streets of South Central Los Angeles. Their mission is to serve and protect. Their objective is to survive until the end of watch, that last moment in an officer's patrol when he's finally off duty. But when a routine traffic inquiry results in them seizing a large cache of weapons, Brian and Mike are marked for death by a notorious drugs cartel. Thrown into a world of mayhem and carnage, both officers are forced to risk their lives in the name of the law.
Yeah.
Which is still a little bit, well, I don't want to say misleading. It's not misleading, but it's not necessarily representative of the film that you get, because that sounds like a film with a plot.
Yes.
Which this is not.
It doesn't really have a plot, does it?
No.
It kind of meanders around a bit. And I feel like that was part of the design of it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand the appeal and kind of, although it affected my first time watch of it, and I'm sad about that, actually, because I think I would have got more out of it had I known what to expect. I still completely understand why they went in that direction, and actually it helps to set it apart from the huge number of other cop thrillers that are out there.
Yeah. It felt like it wanted to be a kind of a realistic take on what it's like to be a cop in Los Angeles. And it starts with it kind of meanders around a bit, but it starts with a chase and Jake Gyllenhaal is doing a voiceover and he's talking about I'm going to arrest you and,
even if also, I don't agree with the law, I will uphold the law, all of that stuff.
Yeah, and then he goes into saying, but also I'm a human being, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. But you are following just their kind of day-to-day life.
Yeah, over a period of
like... An hour of the movie, not an hour of their lives.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it does not happen in real time. Yeah. Somebody gives birth and somebody else gets married. This is a very busy hour.
Quickest pregnancy ever. So it kind of meanders around a bit, but it kind of has a couple of action bits in it, but most of the action is in the final third of the movie.
Yeah.
The first three-quarters or the first two-thirds, you're kind of just following them.
Yeah, just kind of getting to know them as
conversations
people.
they're having. Yeah, it's all shot like a kind of a found footage-ish kind of.
Right. Let me say this straight off the bat then, now that you've mentioned the F word. I'm not a huge fan of the found footage genre. The bulk of it obviously exists within the horror subgenre. So I was absolutely not expecting to see a found footage cop thriller. That really threw me.
Yeah.
And I am a huge proponent of, like, if a found footage movie to me is done well, it's because it really embraces that format.
Okay.
Like a Blair Witch or a Willow Creek. Willow Creek is hugely divisive. Don't get me wrong.
Is that the
Bobcat
Yeti one?
Goldthwait Bigfoot one? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I love it.
I'm sorry. No, Yeti is in this one.
Sasquatch. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. And that, to me, those kind of films really showcase the strength of found footage, because it's found footage in the truest sense of the word. It is footage that somebody could have found.
Nobody found the footage in End of Watch.
No, but this is what I mean. Found footage films like
End of Watch.
Like End of Watch or The Sacrament, for example, that are quite clearly edited together with a soundtrack. Yeah. I get it from a movie making point of view. I understand, like, you want the score in there to guide people's emotions. It makes sense. But to me, that's not found footage.
No, it's not in a truest sense of the word. I think probably it was a bit of wanting to have your cake and eat it a little bit, because I feel like you lose something with found footage movies ultimately, because it's about, well, you've got to explain it somehow. You have to have some
the conceit
reason
of the fact that they're continuing to film despite all this insane shit that's going down. Yeah,
so they kind of start this movie and Jake Gyllenhaal's like, I'm making it, like he's a film student or something.
Yeah, and he's like trying to be cop Logan Paul or something. It's just the cheesy sort of YouTuber to camera stuff that really rubbed me up the wrong way.
Yeah. Yo, you're back with Detective Brian Taylor.
Oh.
Top G.
I hate it.
But you have to have some reason. So he's saying he's making a documentary. But then you get to the drug dealers and you're like, why are they filming each other? Yeah. Are they also making a documentary about, like, violence?
They're in the same film school?
I think so, yeah.
They're all actually classmates, but that was a cutscene.
Yeah. They didn't know that at the time because they sit on the other side of the classroom. It was just coincidence. Like, they shot at each other and they were like, oh, I know you. You sit in row F, didn't you?
You swat.
But yeah, I feel like with found footage stuff, you lose something, because obviously part of the language of film is the way that something is shot.
Yeah.
Whereas with found footage, you have to shoot it from the perspective of whoever's meant to be shooting the footage. Mm-hmm. So it's potentially something lost there. I thought mostly it worked in this film. It didn't get too tired for me. And do you know what? After a while, I just sort of didn't really think about it anymore.
Yeah, it was definitely something that required a bit of an adjustment. And like you say, I got used to it the more the film wore on. And actually, another one of my big kind of bugbears about found footage is when people have cameras on their person.
Yeah.
There was a film called The Conspiracy a few years ago.
That
I believe you've seen. Yeah. And I just remember, I think I watched that at Fright Fest. And I just remember towards the end of the film, the two principal characters have like hidden cameras on their ties.
Yeah.
But the way the footage was being captured, it was as if they were moving their heads.
Yeah.
They would have had to angle their entire body around to capture the footage. So like me picturing them moving really weirdly just fucking ruined that portion of the film for me.
Just running down corridors like RoboCop.
Yeah. But they kind of get around that. I feel like they dealt with that a bit better in this.
Yeah, it was fine. It was weird because I wonder what the reason was, whether it was a creative decision to try and capture more realism, because the dash cam stuff was great, the gun cam stuff was good.
I mean, so found footage to me is almost a bit like playing a video game. Like there's a sense of immediacy there where you sort of feel like you're plonked into the action.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And obviously the lack of editing, there are fewer cuts. Like the shaky cam leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
And obviously there was a huge kind of boom of found footage films about, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago, when like anybody could make one for next to nothing.
Yeah.
So the genre kind of, it got pretty old pretty quickly. But this is definitely one of the better examples, despite the fact there were so many occasions throughout this film when I found myself going, who the fuck is filming this?
Yeah.
No one's filming this.
Yeah.
This is just regular footage that, like, I don't know. It didn't bother me too much. I don't want to harp on about it. But yeah, there were certain moments where it's like, is it a found footage or isn't it? It feels like you can't decide.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's what and I think that's what I meant when I said they wanted to have their cake and eat it a little bit. Which, it's fine.
As a stylistic choice, I can forgive it, but it did annoy me during the first watch.
I wonder if it was an intentional thing, you know, I want to capture the realism, or whether it was because we've only got $7 million. So how are we going to make this as quickly as possible, as cheaply as possible? Because it was 22-day shoot, which is proper short. It's not a long time.
No.
So it must have been quite an intense 22 days. And I think there's probably like obviously we saw a lot of nighttime footage, so we had a lot of night work, probably just 22 days of hell, I reckon. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of insane when you read about how much prep they did for this. Because apparently like Gyllenhaal and Peña spent, I think, upwards of 5 months doing research for the project and like doing ride-alongs with actual cops.
Yeah. Gyllenhaal saw a murder on his first night out.
He did. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be genuinely traumatic. I think I might have backed out of the project at that point, so he's got some stones on him, I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the preparation, it sounds like they had to do, was far more intense than the filming itself, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think of the cast?
I really enjoy the cast.
Did you?
For the most
overall?
part. Yeah. I obviously Grillo. We love a bit of Grillo in this house.
The first Frank Grillo movie that we're covering on this podcast, and definitely not the
last.
Yeah. Because we'll probably talk about Lamborghini at some point.
Oh no.
I haven't seen it yet.
We're going to do car theme, aren't we?
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, Frank Grillo. He's always like, I was going to say dependable, but that sounds like an borderline insult.
He's great. I think he improves any movie. He's one of those actors. He's in the 2 best Purge movies.
Agreed. Yep.
He's in some of the best Marvel movies.
I mean, Winter Soldier
and Civil War.
Top 5.
Yeah, exactly. He just improved. Wheelman, let's not forget that.
I was trying to forget that.
Yeah, no, Frank Grillo's great. I love him. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and he has some good dialogue in this.
Sarge.
Yeah, he doesn't get an actual name unless Sarge is his name.
Yeah.
But is he a Sarge? Is he just Sergeant Sarge?
Sergeant Sarge.
Sarge.
Yeah.
David Harbour is also in this.
I was so shocked.
I didn't know that. I think when I saw this, I
didn't know who he was at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was in Suicide Squad as well, wasn't he? So
he was.
Worked with David Ayer a couple of times. That was hard to say. Yeah, David Harbour is somebody I am usually very pleasantly surprised to see.
Yeah.
I enjoy his performances very much. Kind of underwhelming in this, if I'm being honest. He wasn't given a great deal to work with.
He didn't get a lot to do.
No.
But I feel like I knew who his character was from his line delivery. Because the first
he's very
time,
sort of by the book.
The first time we see him, he's trying to say to Gyllenhaal, don't film in the police changing room. Well, you shouldn't film in a changing room at all, actually. I think that's frowned upon. What was that hotel movie about when he had the cameras everywhere? Maybe it was that situation happening. Do you remember that one?
I don't remember that. Which, Vacancy, maybe? Or?
No, it wasn't Vacancy. Although that does happen in that movie, doesn't it?
I believe so. It's probably been done a lot.
Anyway, where was I? What was I talking about? David Harbour.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good, given his limited screen time.
Yeah.
He felt like he was a bit wily. He was kind of fed up with the system.
Yeah, I guess
a bit of a misery guts.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think maybe my disappointment comes not from his what he was given to work with, and more just that he's not in it very much. Yeah. So, like, how much can you really flesh out a character that gets 2 minutes collectively of screen time?
Yeah. No, agreed. Bring it more David Harbour in anything.
Yeah. Violent Night too. Can't wait.
Yes. Who else is in this? Anna Kendrick as a 13-year-old.
Who looks genuinely like a teenager.
Do you know how old she was when
I'm sure she was in her 20s.
She was like 27.
Yeah.
But when she appeared on screen,
baby face.
Honestly, I was like, is she 12 years old?
Yeah, this feels inappropriate.
It really did.
But she was great. She's so intensely likeable.
Yeah. Again,
in everything.
Didn't get that much screen time.
No, sadly.
And I feel like I didn't know... What did we know about her character? I feel like...
She's called Janet.
I
remember that.
She likes to look through your wallet
She's
while you're
nosy,
sleeping.
yeah. She's very clever.
She loves being pregnant and having babies.
She does love babies, yeah.
She likes small humans. I feel like she didn't get enough to do, really. Maybe there was... I did watch some deleted scenes that were on the Blu-ray, and there wasn't much more Anna Kendrick stuff.
Okay.
So I wondered what they kind of could have done more with that character. But ultimately, it is about the two leads. It is about Michael Peña, and... It's
a cop movie. It's not about the cops' partners. So I can absolutely forgive that.
But it might have been interesting to explore, how partners of police officers are affected by the actions.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, they touch on it, but they don't delve too deep.
Exactly. It's like, come on, if you're going to do it, maybe let's do it.
Yeah.
But most of this movie is them just driving around... A bit like Bad Boys, saying bitch and fuck and bro. Oh, there's a lot of broing.
My God, the word fuck has lost all meaning. I know I commented on this while we were watching it. Like, I could not believe, especially during the scenes with the gang kind of driving around or in their backyard or whatever.
Yeah.
It was every other word. And I'm a huge fan of swearing, but that was insane.
Yeah.
And I read in the trivia that the word fuck was used 326 times throughout the film.
Okay.
Which means that this film is 10th in the list of overall profanity in movies.
What's the first?
Oh, I don't know.
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs!
I don't think we're saying fucking
Scarface is going to be up there, right?
Oh, yeah, Scarface.
But this beats Scarface, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Because wasn't... I might be completely misremembering this, but I feel like Scarface was 182 because I think that's where Blink-182 got that half of their name from. Was the number of times that fuck was said in Scarface.
182.
Don't quote me on that.
I'm going to quote you on it.
I'll need to verify
I've already just tweeted saying Scarface.
I did say it very confidently, which means do not believe everything you hear.
But yeah, so it kind of meanders around a little bit. You get to know, or you get to see kind of what they're doing day to day.
Yep.
They're obviously part of the community. They're familiar with the regular people. They know who they are. You do see them stopping a few crimes. There's a lot of children in peril in this movie for some reason. I wondered what that was about. Do you think it was maybe something to do with the fact that they're young and they're both kind of starting a family of their own?
Maybe, yeah.
Because they obviously, you've got the cupboard kids who have been gagged and tied up. And
yeah, I'm not laughing at that. Just the phrasing of it.
I don't think you needed to clarify that. Yeah, the children of the cupboard, and I'm not talking about Harry Potter. And then you've got the children in the fire. They arrive at the scene that there's a house on fire and there's a woman hysterical.
Well, as you would be.
As you would be, yeah. And she says, my kids are in there. So they run in, or Michael Peña's character runs in first. Gyllenhaal follows. And that's a really good, intense scene, I thought.
Yeah.
Really good, edge of your seat. You don't really know how this is going to turn out.
I mean, the pockets of action throughout are all really well done.
Yeah.
I just expected it to be more cohesive. That's my only criticism. But that's based on expectation alone. That's not a genuine criticism of the film.
And I'm with you on that. I totally agree. And that's why, like, I like this movie. I think it's quite good. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not quite a 4-star movie. It's just a bit better than a 3-star movie. Like, we're skipping to the end.
Yeah.
But the reason that I'm bringing it up now is just because there aren't really many threads that carry through the movie. It's like this scene, and then final bit.
I mean, it's just more about, like you said, kind of some days in the life of, and their kind of male bonding moments, the snippets of their life that you see outside the police force, and kind of touches on how their life outside of it is impacted by it. And then all the really fucking gnarly shit that happens while they're on the beat.
Just going back to that, the fire rescue scene. So Peña, they both go into the building and they rescue 2 kids and they come out and the mum's like, oh no,
where's the third?
There's one more. And they're like, for fuck's sake. It's like when you're trying to clock out of work at 5 o'clock and your boss is like, quick meeting. You're like, fucking really now? You're going to hit the traffic.
Except slightly higher stakes.
Slightly higher, yeah. That was a really good intense scene. I really, really liked that. But just going back again to the other children of the cupboards scene, there's a deleted scene in the police station where America Ferrera's character is giving Jake Gyllenhaal, Peña's character, a bit of stick, like, you know, the kids that you rescued from the cupboard, they're really grateful that you rescued them. It'd be really cool, like, if you came down on one of your days off, like, a bit fucking cheeky. Like, are you serious? My day off. I'm going to Greg's anyway. She's like, yeah, it'd be cool if you go down and visit the kids and stuff. And they're like, oh, really? Like, I don't really know. But I thought that was interesting. I would have preferred that scene to come in, to stay in the movie. Number one, because America Ferrera was really good in that scene. It would have given her a bit more to do in the movie. Yeah. And also that it carries on like a thread as well, because you're calling back to a previous event. You kind of feel like once a scene is over, like that's it. That scene is like gone now. It doesn't really, you're on to the next thing and the next thing. And maybe by design, I didn't hate it. It just maybe would have been a bit better if things did follow through and there was like some of those things did come to fruition in some way.
Yeah, I think I would have enjoyed seeing that for different reasons as well, because I think there's maybe a slight misunderstanding of why a lot of people go into the police force. Yeah. I think the assumption can be they want the glory. Yeah. So them sort of having done the brave thing and then turning down the glory part would have been quite a nice addition. That's, just shows the contradictions that are possible as well.
Yeah, you could have gone down that road. It was interesting because, you know, she was kind of saying, yes, you can rescue people, but it'd be really cool if we can help people in the community before it gets to the point that they become criminals and stuff. You know, someone gave me a chance, someone pointed me to the badge and, you know, it worked for me and I'm here and I'm a good guy. So let's try and get to these kids a bit younger. Let's rescue babies from burning fires and also let's rescue them from metaphorical fires and the dangers of growing up in inner city life.
Yeah.
It just makes me think of Flight of the Conchords. Inner city life. But also in that scene, there's a good bit of Grillo work in there as well. So,
so that's the real reason you're sat and hit the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I wish we just had more Grillo. It would have got another star this movie.
I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you talk about America Ferrera, actually, because I was going to bring her up when we were talking about the cast. Right. I think including female officers was a good move.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see more of them because they felt a little bit two-dimensional. Cody Horn specifically. I only really know her from Magic Mike and I hated that film.
Okay.
She was fine, but she was very one note. It's just like, yeah, I'm a double-R bastard, you know? I would say like the women were kind of coarser than a lot of their male counterparts.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like something they feel is necessary in that industry or if it's just bravado to try and fit in and prove themselves, or I really would have appreciated more of an exploration of that.
Yeah, it would have been good to just have more stuff in the station where naturally you can get just people coming in and out, Harbour, Ferreira, all of those characters, and just get a bit more of that. I thought, the movie is about the two main characters, so I get it. But, talking about a movie that this isn't, that I would rather it was, is that there would be more of that stuff, more police station stuff.
Agreed. And it doesn't even have to be like the minutiae, like you said earlier. You could have had stuff tying it into the action scenes that we see as well. Yeah. Fleshing those out a little bit.
Yeah. There's some scenes that between the two leads that felt kind of odd to me. And I remember, I think while we were watching it, there was a bit where Peña's saying to Gyllenhaal, you've just got to settle, just the first person you meet, just get her pregnant and then just settle down. It doesn't fucking matter who it is, you just make do. As long as she can cook and she has a vagina, then you're good. And then about 8 minutes later, after having met Anna Kendrick's character, Peña's like, well, do you know who she is? Have you run checks on her? Be careful. Maybe you should leave. Can you survive without her? If the answer is yes, then you should leave her immediately. And like, what are we doing?
Very mixed messages.
Mixed messages, yeah, absolutely.
He does not have a future career in marriage counselling, that's for sure.
No, well, Scientologists don't believe in any counselling whatsoever.
Is he a Scientologist? No.
Oh, yes. Oh,
no.
23 years and counting. Yep.
How disappointing.
I know.
I'm always gutted when I find out another one's been gone to the dark side.
Be careful, they might be listening. Xenu might be listening to this.
Xenu's not real.
You don't know that.
The flying spaghetti monster or whatever the fuck it is they worship.
Isn't that the one where your soul lives in a volcano or something? Is it that religion?
I have no idea. I genuinely don't know. I know all about auditing and all of that bollocks and the homophobia and people going missing.
Yeah. Sea urchins.
How insane they get when you're effectively excommunicated.
Yeah.
And it sounds terrifying and horrible.
Yeah, it does. It does. But you're right. It's always surprising when you, to some some people hear about it, like Giovanni Ribisi. I'm like, yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
don't bat an eyelid.
Yeah, but people who appear regular.
John Travolta just doing the Saturday Night Fever in the lobby of Scientology.
I can picture that.
Yeah, I hope that's kind of how it works there.
Yeah.
That's just his job. Like his role in the Church of Scientology is just
ceremonial disco dancing every now and again.
just dancing to the Bee Gees all day long. And then Tom Cruise just jumping on the sofa. All right, love your dancing, John Travolta.
Well, that's headcanon now. That's how all Scientology meetups go.
I believe so. I've never been on one yet.
Yeah, don't know.
Don't you think it'd be fascinating to just go to some sort of meet? The problem is, if you do,
then you're locked in forever.
They'll never leave you alone.
Yeah, I imagine they just hound you.
I imagine so. Yeah, that's what
try to sell you books and stuff.
Yeah, I heard like if you just put your phone number down once on a form, like they're ringing you forever.
Oh God. Well, people better worry next time they cross me because I know what list their phone numbers are going on now that I have that nugget of information. Thank you.
So as Michael Peña and Jake Gyllenhaal were talking about settling down, or Gyllenhaal setting down with Janet, Anna Kendrick's character.
Yep.
We kind of get a bit of a time jump, I guess, because all of a sudden she's got a bump, which I assume is a baby.
Is she pregnant? Did I miss that? They get married.
She's pregnant, isn't it?
Michael Peña's wife gives birth. She's pregnant.
Oh.
Have you got face blindness for the female characters in this?
Maybe. I'm going to blame it on that. Somebody gets pregnant in this movie. We'll edit the rest of that out.
Yeah, there's a baby that appears.
A baby appears out of the vagina,
Yeah. I mean, we don't get to see that bit, thankfully.
No. But where I was kind of leading was that we see a wedding happening because we get a time jump and you get the.
It definitely takes place over at least 6 months or so.
I guess so. I guess so. Like, probably look at the dates on the camera footage and try and work that out. But I kind of started to ignore that after a while.
Yeah.
But you get a sweet choreographed wedding dance to Salt and Pepper.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. Well, apparently that dance was choreographed by the same person that choreographed the dance between Uma Thurman and John Travolta coming up again in Pulp Fiction. you know,
they were just wiggling. Yeah. There was choreography.
And you would think that John
Somebody
Travolta
got paid to choreograph that.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I'm in the wrong industry.
And they also choreographed this one, which I think I nearly died watching this scene.
Yeah, I hurt myself just cringing.
I think if I go to a wedding and then someone's doing a choreograph, I think I'm just immediately walking out the door.
Oh, yeah, no, that happened to me once. Yeah. I was at a wedding and everyone was like, oh, first dance. And I went and it was choreographed and I spun on my heel and walked straight back to the bar.
What were they dancing to?
Oh, I literally can't remember.
It just makes you cringe, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was horrendous.
Yeah. So they do a little dance there. Mm-hmm. There's another deleted scene from the wedding where Peña's doing an extended monologue about being bros, and we're all bros together now.
Dudes and bros.
Yeah, we're all dudes and bros, and now Anna Kendrick, you're also a dude and a bro. Like we've got your back. Like we're a brotherhood. We all look after each other.
Well, some of that made it into the film, didn't it?
Some of it did, yeah.
I
think it was a shortened version because the one on the deleted scene seemed to go on for 12 minutes. There's 25 minutes of deleted scenes on a Blu-ray, spanning 12 chapters or 12 deleted scenes in total. But yes, so you get all of the wedding stuff. You get a bit more Grillo work in there. He's talking about someone taking a bullet for him.
Okay.
I guess he was in some kind of war and someone has taken a bullet for him. He gets very emotional about it. But it was some really good Grillo style filmmaking.
Oh no! Oh no, you're altogether too happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he does really well. He's a good actor. He's
underrated.
He's underrated and underused, and I love seeing him in action movies. I think he's got that thing that you need to be an action star.
Yeah.
And he's a really good actor. Like, he can really bring it. So I'd like to see him in more stuff.
You should really watch Kingdom.
I'll get to it at some point. I'm a bit resistant with shows just because of the time commitment of them.
I mean, it's over. I think there were 4 seasons in total, so it's not like something that goes on and on and on.
It's American, though, so there's probably like 100 episodes per season.
He's great in it anyway.
Yeah, I'll get round to it at some point. So the movie starts to heat up, doesn't it, as we get along? Like, the crimes become more...
well, there are a couple of like
brutal.
Real standout, quite shocking scenes, or scenes that shocked me anyway.
Brutal.
The first one I can think of, obviously beyond saving the children, is the scene where they, where Mike and Brian?
Brian and Mike.
Sorry, said it the wrong way around. Brian and Mike, to give them their full titles, turn up at the scene of a crime that's been... well, they get the distress call saying officers in trouble.
Officers down.
Yeah, and then they turn up at this crime scene. David Harbour's out front.
Yeah.
With a knife straight to the eye.
Somebody saw Hellboy.
Yeah. The only other person that saw Hellboy. Yeah. Oh dear.
Oh, fuck David Harbour.
And then they kind of round the corner.
Yeah.
And this insanely beefy guy is basically pulverising the female rookie.
That is...
That was hard to watch.
That was horrifying.
Yeah.
It was hard to watch. And do you know what was even kind of more disturbing is that he just puts his hands up and is just like, okay,
he's so calm.
He's so calm. It's like it's brutal. And she quits on the spot.
Damn right.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is brutal, that scene.
And obviously, David Harbour's character, they say as well, he's not coming back, having lost half of his sight, presumably.
Yeah, well, he just gets carted off in the ambulance with a knife in his eyeball.
Yeah, but like, still kind of barking at people. Like, his character doesn't break, and I kind of loved that.
Yeah, no, he's just like, I lost my vest.
Yeah. It's like, dude.
Pick up my vest.
There are bigger issues at play.
I don't know how David Harbour got your eyeball.
But yeah, no, the heartbreaking part was the rookie. Like, I don't know if it's because the character is female. I don't know if it's because she was so new to the job, but something about that really hit me.
Yeah.
Like, that was a terrible choice of words. But yeah, that was really hard to watch.
Yeah.
And you don't even see it happen. You just kind of see the aftermath for the most part.
Yeah, you see it happening from behind, and then you do a close-up of her face.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and she's fucked up. Like, the guy fucked her up, and as we said, she quits on the spot. And that you've got that scene, and there's also the scene where they stumble upon a human trafficking den, which also, like, some of the imagery in that was pretty hard hitting. With just 30 people in a room, handcuffed and on the floor behind a caged door, which has repercussions because who are the people with the guns? The
Latino gangs.
No, I guess everyone has guns in this movie.
Yeah.
No, there's after they come out of that house, like the military police maybe or something.
Oh,
or
right,
just,
yeah.
like FBI or something. I don't know.
Like some sort of special forces, I would assume.
They're like, oh, you just accidentally stumbled upon cartel human trafficking, and now you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because they're going to want to kill you.
Yep. Foreshadowing.
Yeah. There's another deleted scene.
Okay.
Where they are driving around, and they drive down an alleyway, and they see their names graffitied on a wall with the number 187 next to it, which we all know means murder. It's the amount of times fuck is said. That's Scarface.
No, 187. That's code for murder, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought it was a Samuel Jackson movie.
No, well, it might be that too. But yeah, I know that, and I don't know why.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It means murder. So then, and that was a deleted scene, but it tells you that there's a hit on them, and they're delighted.
I kind of wish that had been included.
Yeah, do you know what? A lot of the deleted scenes were pretty good.
I wonder why they chose to trim it as much as they did, because I think, personally speaking, from what you've told me, there's a lot in the deleted scenes I would rather have seen than some of the chat in the car that we get. Yeah. Like, they could have trimmed some of that instead, I think. Yeah,
I totally agree. There's some really good stuff.
Yeah.
There's some really good stuff that they deleted. Even if they could have made it 10 minutes longer, cut some of the quote unquote banter.
Yeah.
And had more character stuff with other people. Yeah, and there's a lot that should have stayed in, I think.
Interesting. I kind of wish I'd seen the deleted scenes now. Following on from that, probably the gnarliest scene that I can remember was after all that's happened, they stumble upon a different premises home, and they kind of keep going through the home, and they can smell something and like it's knocking them sick, and then they stumble upon the room that looks like it's been used for ritualistic torture and murder en masse.
I completely forgot about that.
How did you forget about the pit of limbs?
The pit of limbs.
The pit of limbs.
Yeah, I wrote that down as well. Pit of limbs. And there was some...
Pit of Limbs would be such a good black metal band name.
Yeah.
Cradle of Filth side project. Pit of Limbs.
Open brackets plus a few decapitated heads, close brackets. Yeah, brutal. What was going on there? Some sort of ritual, you say?
Tied to the cartel. They were just torturing people, basically.
Oh, right. You didn't see like a pentagram or something, candles.
Well, there were candles and stuff.
Chucky?
There was
Chucky Dumbledore, give me the power, I beg of you.
Yes.
Please put my head back on.
It was Brad Dourif this whole time.
Brad Dourif did it. If there's ever a murder, it's always Brad Dourif that did it, whatever movie you're watching. And better check the dolls, make sure they're all not alive.
Yeah, that was hard to watch as well.
Yeah,
not necessarily because of what you see, because I've watched some really fucked up shit in my time, and so I'm kind of hardened to that. It was more how well their reaction to it was acted out.
Yeah,
like the visceral reaction, kind of trying so hard not to vomit because of the stench and stuff, and that really made it hit me emotionally,
which is the correct response when you're it kind of bothers me a little bit in movies when people just like, it's a dead body, like Bad Boys last week where we were talking about Mike Lowry, and it's just, I can smell a dead body. Like, what's wrong with you, Marcus? Why are you getting sick? Like, no, it's a dead body. They fucking stink.
If you're used to that, you're the one with the problem.
Honestly, like, if you smell a dead body, it feels like your insides are outsides. It's gross. So it's the correct response, and you really feel it. Like you say, their performances really sell it, and you can almost smell it yourself. Brutal. Like, there's some really, really brutal stuff in this. Do you know, I kept thinking about S. Craig Zahler movies and kind of the way that he shoots, and he tries to do like super violent, uber violent scenes. Like, you've got I'm not going to spoil the movie, but cowboy Kurt Russell not Tombstone.
Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk. That's it. Because I didn't want to spoil the movie, but yeah, there's some brutal stuff happening in that.
Oh my God, yeah.
Have you seen Brawl in Cell Block 99?
No. Is that Vince Vaughn?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
I was talking about this the other day with my mum, actually.
Okay.
and we were going through her like recorded movies that she's recorded. And Brawl on Cell Block 99 was on there. I was like, you've got to watch that. It's really good.
Oh no. Have you just
it.
set her off?
I think she will like it, actually.
Okay.
But it's brutal. And Dragged Across Concrete is another one.
Oh yeah, you've been talking to me about that for ages. Yeah, I need to see that.
It's a really good movie, but just unfortunately Mel Gibson's in it. But maybe we'll talk about that one day. Let's not get into it now.
Okay.
But I was thinking about his movies as well, just the way that he tries to capture, like, he doesn't want to focus. He wants to focus on the violence itself, because that's the point of it. That's it. You're meant to think, fuck, this is horrible. This is brutal. This, we've got to do, like, we have to deal with this sort of stuff, do we, on a day-to-day basis if you're in the police force? So I thought that was really well done.
Yeah. Shocking. There are a few moments in this that were genuinely shocking that kind of, I'm not going to say came out of left field, but I suppose in some regard they do kind of blindside you a little bit, because that must be what it's like to be a cop. You don't know what call you're going to get next. You don't know which crimes you're going to have to deal with. It must be so, for the most part, unpredictable. And I know this is like a really dramatized, I don't know what the word is, but exaggerated version of what it must be like.
Concentrated.
Yeah, absolutely. Concentrated version. So I know it's not necessarily indicative, and we are seeing like a highlights reel of, you know, I'm sure the bulk of what they deal with is like traffic stops and stuff like that.
Yeah, jaywalking.
Yeah. We're seeing the Instagram highlights reel of cop life in this. But even so, like, it felt like there was a real escalation that I thought was done quite well, despite the fact that it is a series of like largely unconnected scenes. Yeah. It did feel like there was a natural kind of escalation to the events that we were seeing. And it did feel like quite tense, and that it was like, shit, they've just found a pit of body parts. Yeah. What next?
It's nuts. It's crazy. But you're right. It totally does escalate right up until the point where we get to the end of the movie, where probably, I've already told you what I scored this on Letterboxd, which was 3.5. I feel like it was a 3-star movie until the end, and maybe almost a 4. It was, because I think it's super well done. And the final third, when they're having a shootout with the cartel, I thought was just superb. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was done super well. Now,
I have some complaints though.
I have complaints too.
Okay.
What is your complaints?
Some of my complaints are that I felt like that kind of final act was wrapped up too fast. I would have liked to have seen that extended, just because, so let me preface this by saying that I think my expectations are affecting my opinion of that final act, because the synopsis that I'd read referenced it. So I'd been waiting the whole movie for this specific plot point. For the hit, yeah. And I'm really pissed off that this synopsis that I read focused on that so much. That was like the whole thing, was that they've got a hit out on them. Yeah. And so I was really kind of confused that we were just like, oh, we're at a wedding now? What the fuck's happening?
Yeah, I know. Like an hour into the movie, you're nudging me like, when's this happening? Like, did I read the right movie? Or?
Yeah. So I'm aware that some of my criticism is based on my expectation. Yeah. But yeah, so that's one. I felt like that could have been longer, a bit tense. So it was very tense, but a bit more drawn out. It just felt like it was over too quickly, and then we were at the end of the film already. Yeah. Like, as we said, there was an escalation, so it felt like we'd been building to that, and then it was just like, it was over too fast. Okay. And my only other real complaint is they'd kind of shown themselves to be quite skilled police officers for the most part. Yeah. Yeah. But I felt like they went into that a bit too overconfident and a bit too kind of blindly, really. Yeah. They weren't careful enough. Yeah. And I felt like that situation could have been avoided. Yeah. Wouldn't have been as good a film, but...
Well, it's interesting because I was thinking something along the same lines, I think, while I was watching it and thinking, this is a bit silly. Why are you just running into this situation? Because they get some kind of call, right? But it's a fake. So the baddies just want to get them in a kill box so they can shoot them. But I kind of reconciled it in my brain thinking about it after having watched it and over the last few days, thinking and thinking back to the voiceover that Jake Gyllenhaal gives at the beginning of the movie. I'm a police officer. I will arrest you even if I don't believe in the law or whatever.
So you just think at that point they're so singly focused?
I think they've got a bit of a hero complex. I think that they want to be heroes.
Yeah.
There's another deleted scene when they're talking about having rescued the children from the fire. Mm-hmm. And Jake Gyllenhaal was like, do you feel like a hero? And Michael Peña's like, no, not really. I don't really feel any different. So I think
so they're chasing that.
I think moment. So. Like, you've got the scene where Gyllenhaal's doing some press-ups and looking at the city. And I for some reason, I thought of Batman. And I thought, like he's watching over his city. Like, I'm the great protector. I'm the hero you deserve. So I feel like maybe there's a bit of hero complex in there. And then after the events during the movie where they're rescuing kids and stopping crimes from happening, maybe they're getting a bit too cocky. Maybe they're getting a bit too big for their boots.
Because they do kind of, I would go as far as to say they just get lucky a number of times. Yeah. Like, it's not good detective work that gets them to these criminal, masterminds.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of it is luck and right time, right place, or wrong time, wrong place, as the case may be.
That's another example of a scene that I would like included in the movie because it gives those characters a bit more depth.
Yeah.
And maybe gives them a bit more motivation or clues you into why they're doing the things that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there was that with the final. My biggest problem with the final scene is that nobody is anyone doing target practice? Because how many bullets are fired at the two? They're in. The baddies are on a ledge. They have an elevated position, which apparently is the best position if you've seen The Rock. They're in the kill box, which is the position that they're in The Rock. So it must be the best kill position. But they just get shot in the hand, or like their radio conveniently gets shattered or whatever.
Yeah.
And they sort of run into an apartment with a woman and a baby. And I was just thinking the whole time, like, get out of the move away from the infant. But they do. They're like, ultimately, Gyllenhaal's like, we've got to get out of here. Like, this is not safe. Mm-hmm. We've got to shoot our way out. And I love this. I thought this was brilliantly done. And I didn't have the thought about it should have been longer, I must admit.
Okay.
Which is unusual because when there's an action scene, I always want more action.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was fine. Maybe it would have been a bit better if it was longer, but what we got I thought was okay. I enjoyed the gun camera stuff when they're running away down
that was fun.
The alleyway. It was really good. And I remember seeing it and thinking, I'm really glad we haven't seen this throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Because that would have got tired really quickly.
Yeah.
What's that movie with Sholto Copley?
Hardcore Henry.
Hardcore Henry, right? I think I made it about 7 minutes through that film before I switched it off. Okay, I couldn't get through it. It was just too much.
I understand the appeal. I get the gimmicks. But about 15 minutes in, I was just like, if I wanted to play a video game, I would have played a video game.
Exactly. It's like, let's just play Medal of Honor instead. Yeah. And maybe win some crystals or something. What do you do? Is that what happens? No, you win medals, obviously. Medal of Honor.
Play Medal of Honor and win crystals.
Oh, a save point. There's a health pack. So I really enjoyed the final scene. I feel like it wrapped it up well enough.
There were a number of goofs, though.
Well, it had there's a gag reel that I don't know about.
No, not bloopers.
Like someone like Michael Peña shat in Gyllenhaal's coffee or something. Oh no, not again! I'd have liked to see that
character development. No, there's a couple of things, but the one that kind of, I'm a stickler for continuity. There was one scene. Obviously, we're just going to spoil it. Where they're being shot at. Gyllenhaal's been shot. He's on the ground. Yeah. Michael Peña, like, the gang is coming, is fast approaching, and then you see the reds and the blues.
Yeah.
And the police the backup arrives.
Just in time.
Although I did read something that there was some complaints about the fact that, just in the nick of time. But a lot of people are saying like, well, why did they take so long to get there? But then somebody else theorized, I wish I knew where I'd read this, but somebody theorized that the gang could have been placing like fake calls to the police to tie them up all night.
Like Fouché in Bad Boys.
Yeah. Which absolutely makes sense. But yeah, so there's that scene where they approach in the car, and then from the other side also approach in a different car and kind of like box in the gang.
Yeah.
But then when the gang are being shot, the police car on the other side of them is not there. Which makes sense because cops wouldn't have done that. The potential for crossfire never crossed the stream.
Never, no.
But yeah, the potential for absolute disaster there would have been astronomical. But yeah, so that car is just not there anymore during that scene.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Didn't notice that at all. I think I was just more focused on, this is Grillo's Grillo to the rescue.
Always.
Yeah.
It's a really minor complaint.
Okay. So we're talking about the end scene. So I'll get into, did you read anything about alternative ending?
I read that they were both originally supposed to die.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So let's move on.
So yes, I did.
Yeah, I watched the alternative ending, and it's just at the funeral, and then you see a picture of Jake Gyllenhaal, and it pans over, and you see a picture of Michael Peña telling you they both died.
I would have much preferred that ending because obviously end of watch is used as a phrase to denote end of your shift. Yeah. But they also use the term for when an officer dies.
Okay.
On duty as well. End of watch, yeah.
Right,
that's what they say. So obviously dual meaning in that regard. Yeah. And when you see Gyllenhaal get shot, and then you see Michael Peña get shot, I was just like, well, he's definitely dead. Yeah. There's like no question. Nobody would survive that. But then there was this thing in the back of my mind, because obviously you're supposed to, at that moment, assume that they've both died. Yeah. But then I was just like, well, it's Hollywood. Yeah. Gyllenhaal's alive.
Okay. It was interesting because it's been a while since I watched this movie, and I didn't remember how it ended.
Okay.
And as they were building up to the climax of the movie, I was thinking, oh yeah, they both die, don't they?
I'd have preferred that. It would have been more unexpected.
But maybe that's why I thought that, because that, to me, would have been the stronger ending.
The more impactful ending,
The more impactful, but the more in keeping as well. Like, they have that conversation when Michael Peña's saying, you know, if you die on duty, Jake Gyllenhaal, I will look after your child. I will, you know, help raise that kid. And I hope you do the same for me.
And then if they both die, it's like,
but if they both die,
got a punch.
Exactly. So it just would have been more in keeping with, you know, what are these people giving up by being police officers? You know, what are the repercussions of on the family of the cops? So I think that would have been a stronger ending for sure. It did feel a bit like, we can't kill them both. We've got to leave on somewhat a high note.
Do you know what it felt like?
Hollywood.
Bit of a cop out.
Yeah. No, this is much better than Cop Out. Way better than Cop Out.
Imagine if Kevin Smith had directed this. Very different film.
Imagine if Bruce Willis was in this. Do you know what?
Yeah. Okay.
I would maybe put him as the Frank. I would never ever sacrifice Frank Grillo. But if Frank Grillo didn't exist,
if he hadn't been available,
I would say put Bruce Willis as the captain, the YL captain. Maybe he's John McClane. Maybe he's John McClane's. We've just written a better Die Hard movie than the last two Die Hard movies were.
It's not that difficult.
No, it's not. So that's it. That takes us up to the end of the movie.
Yep.
So it's not what you expected.
Not at all. But I had very limited knowledge and had also confused it with a different, completely separate film.
You thought it was the 9/11 one? Yeah.
Up until the day that we watched it, I was confused, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big dumb dummy, apparently.
So what did you reckon overall?
Overall, I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Same as Bad Boys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, now that you've just said that, feels ludicrous.
It's such a trap to get into comparing movies.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of my scores change, because I'm like, oh, hang on, I gave The Dark Knight a 5. But like Mac and me's like, whatever. Yeah, it's difficult. You can't really get into comparisons, but it is interesting.
Yeah. I think the 3 stars is harsh. I will admit that. I think I've maybe scored it a little bit harshly, and that's perhaps based on my expectations of it. And I suspect it would probably go up a half a star if I were to watch it again, knowing what I was in for.
Yeah.
Which is maybe kind of a mean way to score films based on a false synopsis. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think it's a really, really good, solid thriller. I think with some better directorial choices, or perhaps just a better director, I think it could have been an excellent film.
Which is what I feel about Training Day, because it's a really good movie, really well written movie. I wonder how much of that was found with the actors though. Mm-hmm. Denzel and Ethan Hawke just slay it, and they're fucking brilliant. But it's directed by Anton Fuqua, so you've got a really talented director, but also like a good writer. So maybe he's one of these,
just hand the script over to somebody a bit more talented.
Dave, you can't direct this one. We all saw Suicide Squad.
Stop that. No toys for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed it. I think it is a really, really good, solid movie. Some of the found footage stuff started to grate after a while, and I'm going to be honest and maybe show my wear my politics on my sleeve a little bit.
Oh, you're a lefty, aren't you? Oh no! Someone right wing was listening to this, and they're getting to this point, and they're going to switch off. Good, fuck off. We don't want you listening.
No, all I was going to say was.
I do mean that.
Talking about mixed messages. All I was going to say was I think the bulk of the police force are probably very admirable.
Yeah.
I don't think they're painted in 100% the best light in this film, because some of them seem to be like not necessarily great people.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they're doing a noble job.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Because
realistic.
I think kind of painting them all as like bland heroes would have really left a sour taste in my mouth, I think. But because of all the shit that we keep seeing in the news about quote unquote the bad apples, I'm a little bit resistant to anything that sort of seems very pro police. And a lot of Ayer's work, actually, particularly the stuff he's written, is quite cop heavy and in their favour.
Yeah, he likes that genre because there's a natural drama to it, I guess, a natural threat.
Which I completely understand, and he's right, there is.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying that any of my criticisms are valid, but I just think anything that sort of champions the police force, given what we read day to day about them, wielding their power incorrectly, just turns me off a little bit.
Yes.
Which is maybe shitty on my part, because there are so many of them who are doing excellent, necessary work.
It's a tricky subject.
Yeah.
It's like the greyest thing you could probably talk about, because you have got obviously people that are assholes that are in the police force, and you've got really good people that are in the police force. Mm-hmm. Some people are doing good because they want to do good. Some people are doing good accidentally.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that just want the power. And it's the same thing with politicians. I feel like if you want to be a politician, then you probably shouldn't be a politician. I kind of feel the same way about police force. And another reason why I think that deleted scene where they're talking about helping the community is also interesting, because I don't think police work should just be focused on stopping crime from happening. I think it should also be focused on preventing crime happening.
Prophylactic.
And a lot, and a lot of that is in ideologies, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously we hear a lot about racism in the police force, and targeted attacks, and that's a really real problem. So it is difficult to root for the police sometimes, isn't it? And I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that every film about the police force has to show both sides of that coin. Like that would wear thin.
Well, sometimes you've just got to have a cop cutting the blue wire. Like they're fun movies to watch.
Yeah.
But something like this that is meant to be quote unquote realistic, then I think you need those grey characters, and they did have them in there. Maybe they could have gone further with it.
Yeah, I would have preferred that, I think.
Yeah. But it is tricky, they are, they are very much, this film is very much on the side of the police force.
Yeah.
It's not grey in that respect, like, but it's honest and saying, not everyone's great, but, we need the police kind of thing. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
There have been a couple of times when I've needed the police and they've helped me out.
Absolutely. Yeah. When people say defund the police, I think they misunderstand and think it means do away with the police, which is not the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't and would never advocate for the abolishment of the police force.
Yeah.
I think, like you say, they're very necessary.
Yeah. But the trick is in trying to basically just get rid of any form of prejudice, right?
Mm-hmm.
In any form. But it's tricky, isn't it?
It is. This got deep.
We're not going to solve it, are we? I know. Right.
This got unexpectedly deep.
Can we do some more knob gags or something?
Well, next week's going to be a bit more comedy focused.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because we're covering The Guard.
Oh, that's a funny one, isn't it?
It's one of my favourites.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
It's my favourite Irish cop movie.
Name another. Name a second. Let's leave it there, shall we?
Let's pick this up next week. Thanks so much for listening. If you've enjoyed the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on your platform of choice and come and shoot the shit with us on social media. All the links are in the description.